tremendous looking trophy.
Welcome to the number one PlayStation podcast in the Oceanias. My name's John Plat. Joining me, Ashley Hobley.
Hey, John. Good to be here.
Okay. Let's go off.
Yeah.
Go off. Get hyped.
Get hyped for another quiet week. Another week of not getting PS5 announced.
Damn right. There's not much happening this week, let's be honest. In the trophy cabinet, a bronze trophy for new PSVR controllers, a silver trophy for smart launch being a thing that hopefully will be on the PS, a gold trophy for trying to win a real Plat trophy, and we hit a platinum for Xbox pushing PlayStation and doing something, They're all the things. So let's just dump into it. Fucking PlayStation 5 news update. They still haven't done anything, but you know who has done something? Xbox. So let's talk about that, and let's talk about what they've revealed, and through the magnifying glass, through the viewing lens,
through the lens, the biased lens of PlayStation fans.
Yeah, like purposely try and just be like, is PlayStation up shit creek here? Is this does any of this matter? That's fine. So Kotaku writes, Microsoft unveils Xbox Series X specs and shares some cool details. So they put up a whole blog post at 6 a.m. Monday American time, and it went up Tuesday? I think it was like 1 a.m. ish or something. I was awake. I saw it. I was like, cool, all right. I was like, it's not PlayStation, but like something's happening for once, because literally every Monday night I'm awake at least until 1, because I'm like,
this will be the day.
Surely one of these weeks, something's going to drop. I didn't leave this fucking podcast for nothing, So, in an in a post on Xbox Wire titled "What You Can Expect from the Next Generation of Gaming," Xbox head Phil Spencer lays out details of Microsoft's upcoming vertical black box. First, he talks hardware, including a custom processor leveraging AMD's latest Zen 2 and RDNA 2 architectures. The Xbox Series X features a GPU capable of 12 teraflops of performance, twice that of an Xbox One X, and 8 times that of the original Xbox One. As mentioned during the system's announcement, the console will also support up to 120 frames per second, so investing in a faster television or monitor might be worthwhile. And then in case anyone was wondering about ray tracing, the Series X supports DirectX ray tracing, so the console won't be missing out on that video buzzword. And the main picture that's been going around does have these key things: 12 teraflops, variable rate shading, hardware accelerated DirectX ray tracing, quick resume for multiple games, and smart delivery. So going over the mole, like if we go to actual posts away from Kotaku to go to the big thing here, break them all down. Some of this stuff I don't think we really need to talk about, because it's like it's already being kind of talked about, and it's like, what's this mean until we can compare it to the PS4, I guess. But so the whole 12 teraflops thing, okay, cool. Apparently the rumor is the PS5 is going to be like 10, or apparently. I don't know if that's, I honestly don't know. Good, bad, whatever. I mean, it all depends how you use it, of course, so I don't know how much there is to talk about with that, really. It's lots of teraflops. It's a big keyword, buzzword for these things. Variable rate shading, or VRS. Just another buzzwordy PC thing that is now coming over to consoles that most people won't understand. So, our patented form of VRS empowers developers to more efficiently utilize the full power of the Xbox Series X. Rather than spending GPU cycles uniformly to every single pixel on the screen, they can prioritize single effects on specific game characters or important environmental objects. This technique results in a more stable frame rate and higher resolution, with no impact on the final image quality. So then you've got the ray tracing. I do care about ray tracing, but we already know everything's got ray tracing. But the DirectX thing is the new piece of information here. That's it. That it's DirectX ray tracing. That's what's powering their ray tracing is DirectX. That's what's going on here. And as they write here, you can expect more dynamic and realistic environments powered by hardware accelerated DirectX ray tracing. A first for console gaming, this means true-to-life lighting, accurate reflections, and realistic acoustics in real time as you explore the game world. Obviously, I talked about an Arcade Couch, our other gaming podcast, here on Explosion Network. Ray tracing stuff that I saw at PAX, which is where I was sold on it. But I feel like up until everyone else gets to see it, that it's just going to be really hard for most people to sell people on ray tracing like through a podcast form or like a written form, you'd be like, it looks cool, like the reflections are great, but most people are going to be like, what the fuck? I don't give a fuck like what reflections, how cool the reflections are and stuff, but it's like one of those things where you like play a game like Control, and you're like, oh, standing in this puddle and the reflections in the puddle are really good. And then also the reflections in this window I'm right next to, they're all great. And it's all because of the lighting and whatever else. So. But they're the buzzwordy things. Then we'll skip some like SSD storage Bro knew about there. Quick resume. This is a cool thing. This one thing that I hope that the PS5 has as well. So they write, the new quick resume feature lets you continue multiple games from a suspended state almost instantly, returning to where you were and what you were doing without waiting through long loading screens. So the key thing here, the difference between this and what we have now on our PS4, for example, is that PS4 does have suspend games, right? So if you can play a game, you can put your PlayStation in sleep mode, and then you can boot it back up, and you can start the game again without having to like quit out of it, load back in, wait for it to load up, click load game, blah blah blah.
Or you can like watch a YouTube or whatever, Netflix or whatever, and it will just be in the background. Yeah,
but you can only have one game.
Whereas with this, say you're playing Halo by yourself, and then your buddy pings you and is like, hey, I want to play Apex together. You can suspend Halo, play Apex, and then you can go back to Halo after you lose a bunch of times and go back and play your Halo.
So, yeah, multiplayer games is the exact example I thought of, where it's going to be the most convenient and helpful. I feel like this is a feature that I'll be quite happy to see on PS5 because I'll actually, make use of it, especially if I am literally the scenario you're talking about, not Halo, obviously, on my PS5, but let's say I'm playing a single player game and someone's like, hey, do you want to come play Apex or whatever it is on PS5? And I'm like, oh yeah, I have to get to a save point first or something. With this, you won't have to actually worry as long as it doesn't bug out by Lord. But you shouldn't, if it all works appropriately, you should be like, no problem, pause, kind of minimize it like it's a desktop, open up Apex, start game, play for a couple hours, minimize that, go back to your single player game, and you shouldn't have to worry about anything. That's what this means, and that's why it's cool.
Yeah.
So it just it's like, is it a game-changing feature? No, but as someone who does play a lot of multiplayer stuff, I do think this was a really cool feature. I think for people who only play single player games, this is like not as convenient. Like you're not probably going to get as much out of it. I do feel like the scenario we're talking about is probably going to be the most
common,
relevant use for it. Other than that, you're like, what are you talking about? I mean, maybe like people come around to your house, same sort of thing, I guess. Like, oh, let's play.
Okay, I want to try something else.
Yeah, like I'll show you this game or whatever. But it's like unless you're like a crazy person that wants to like play an hour of one single player game and play an hour of another one and an hour of the next one, like you just switch back and forth like a mad person.
Maybe you just have Beat Saber open. You're like, have it always available for you to quickly jump into.
That is actually a really good example. Actually, now that you say that, that is actually a good example. I think if. Let's pretend the PS5 fixes a lot of the VR things that everyone hates. Obviously, the cords, wires, the outbox, blah 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 blah, and more people are happy to leave the, what do we call it? It's not the outbox. What's the official name? I don't know. Anyway, the box, right? So the box that it all plugs into. Let's say the PS5 lets you have 4K pass through or something like that. Or fuck it. Let's not even talk about PSVR version 1. Let's talk about the rumored PSVR version 2, which is supposed to come out like couple months later or something. That's the rumor. Let's say that has 4K pass-through and everything. So now people are going to leave that plugged in, which means, yes, having Beat Saber open all the time would be a thing that would be really cool. Because you could be like, you know what? I'm just going to... It's one of those games that you just want to jump in and play like 15 minutes and then probably do something else. And if you could have the VR headset plugged in, have it on a stupid stand next to your TV or what have you, be able to pick it up, have the game already going in standby mode, literally put the headset on, click go. You're playing Beat Saber in under a minute, possibly in like 30 seconds in this case.
You think to yourself, I've been inactive for too long. I've been on this couch for like 4 hours. Yeah. Let me play a couple of rounds of Beat Saber and then go back to my single player game.
Yep. I mean, one of the reasons I like my Oculus Quest so much is because if I'm like, I want to do 15 minutes of Beat Saber, I can just have Beat Saber in that headset on standby, click the button, and the game just starts. And I'm playing it in like under 30 seconds. I can play my 15 minutes and put it away. If this exists and the PSVR version 2 fixes the 4K pass-through and everything else that everyone complains about, and then you can suspend Beat Saber, this will be the equivalent. This will be the equivalent. Of course, you won't be able to take it outside like you can with the Quest, but it's as good as you're going to get. So I think the quick regime is good and definitely something that I would very much hope that the PS5 has as well, because it's like, why can't it? Like, I mean, it's fucking... all these things have got bigger CPUs and whatever else now. Like, it's got enough memory in the system to handle these sorts of things now, you know? So, the teraflops. Dynamic latency input, DLI. We're optimizing latency in player-to-console pipeline, starting with an Xbox wireless controller, which leverages our high bandwidth proprietary wireless communication protocol when connected to the console, while dynamic latency input, a new feature which synchronizes input immediately with what is displayed, controls are even more precise and responsive. So that's a whole bunch of words. That means that your controllers are going to get more responsive, which I think is not going to be something that's super relevant to a lot of people, but it will be really relevant to fighting game players, because that's even on the current gen consoles, a lot of fighting players still plug in their controllers to delete the slightest bit of latency that the wireless controls still have. Like, you and me don't notice it, they do. And even, I guess, hardcore, like, first-person shooter fans who can tell, like, the slightest millisecond of, like, something, you know, delay or something like that. This is where that's going to matter. Will PlayStation have something similar? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they would pout it as a feature, but I would guess if we're going to have a new controller, in my mind, new controller just means surely it gets better. Each generation, each new controller gets better at latency anyway. So I feel like this is a lot of words for a feature that's just like, yeah, the controller's better. It's got less latency. I'm like, good the fuck out.
Oh, yeah.
HDMI 2.1 innovation. We've partnered with the HDMI and Forum and TV manufacturers to enable the best game experiences through features such as low latency mode, ALLM, and variable refresh rate, VRR, allows Xbox One and Xbox Series X to automatically set the connected display to its lowest latency mode. VRR synchronizes the display's refresh rate to the game's frame rate, maintaining smooth visuals without tearing, ensuring minimal lag and most responsive game experience. So variable refresh rate is that's just old PC gaming, has like variable refresh rate, and you can turn that on and so forth. Auto low latency mode is basically just sounds like the same sort of thing, but for, I guess, TVs instead of monitors, I guess, like some similar thing. This is a cool feature that nerds will care about, and by nerds I just mean like Kieran, I guess, more so that like the Kierans and stuff who want their frames to be locked and ready to rock.
Gotta lock them frames.
Gotta lock them frames and get to work, you know. So it's cool. It's not mind blowing. 120 frames support. With support for up to 120 frames per second, Xbox Series X allows developers to exceed standard 60 frames per second output in favor of heightened realism or fast-paced action. So current gen consoles struggle to hit a lock of 60 on most big budget games. And I would say, this is what I've been saying for ages, because I've been talking about this stuff for some time now, like this whole 120. In my mind, if everything is at minimum 60, cool. Like, that's a step up. Minimum of 60. Then that's like next gen. That's the whole next gen thing. 120, I would struggle to believe that's going to run on like your Uncharted and stuff. You know what I mean? Like your sports games or whatever else. Maybe some games like that have the option, you know, like turn down the graphics. You can run at 120. Turn it on. High graphics, it runs low. You know what I mean? Like that. Like,
it's like the Pro.
Yeah, it's kind of what we have the option for at the moment anyway. So it's like whatever. Next generation game compatibility. So here they talk about everything's going to have backwards compatibility for everything. So that's obviously something that we know they're going to have the one up on PlayStation. Unless PlayStation suddenly announces they're going to have like all your fucking PS3 to PS2 games and whatever else, but I highly doubt that. So Xbox has just obviously spent this entire generation kind of setting the framework there, and now they're just carrying it forward, so that's something they can have one up. However, this next feature is super relevant and something that PlayStation, I think, needs to have, or they're going to not lose, but like they're going to lose in a lot of people's minds, and it's going to be one of those things kind of like with the last generation where PlayStation did that ad they just shot behind where E3 is like, here's game showing, pass the game, let them play. Like this could be a similar sort of case if PlayStation doesn't have it, I think. So smart delivery, they're right here. This technology empowers you to buy a game once and know that whether you're playing it on Xbox One or Xbox Series X, you're getting the right version of that game on whatever Xbox you're playing on. We're making the commitment to use smart delivery on all our exclusive Xbox Game Studio titles, including Halo Infinite, to ensure you only have to purchase the title once in order to play the best available version for whichever Xbox console they chose to play on. This technology is available for all developers and publishers, and they can choose to use it for titles that would release on Xbox One first and come to the Xbox Series X later. So all of their games are going to say, if you buy Halo on an Xbox One and you decide to you get a Xbox Series X like 6 months to a year later or whatever, you're good. You don't have to buy it again. You don't have to pay a $10 upgrade fee, these sorts of things. And they're saying that all other developers and publishers can choose to use that too. Now, I think the ones that choose not to are very easily going to become the enemies because, as Press Start writes here, after Microsoft announced their new smart delivery feature along with a bunch of other features for Xbox Series X, we were wondering how many third-party games would come to the service. So Cyberpunk tweeted out, gamers should not be forced to purchase the same game twice or pay for upgrades. Owners of Cyberpunk 2077 for Xbox One will receive the Xbox Series X upgrade for free when available. So for those, they write, this is great for those knowing who plan on getting Cyberpunk 2077 on September 17th for the Xbox One, knowing they'll be able to play the game on the Xbox Series X if they upgrade to the console. So let's say, that comes out September. Say these consoles come out like November, like 2 months later-ish, something like that. You upgrade your console, you'll get you're good. You've got Cyberpunk. It's on your account. You're good to go. And as I write here, this is a shift from what we saw in the last generational gap between Xbox 360 and Xbox One, where gamers had to purchase games on each console in order to play it across the systems. Even when the Xbox One eventually made Xbox 360 games compatible for the consoles, gamers were still playing the Xbox 360 versions of these titles. So, of course, there are some questions for this, and I think the obvious answer to one of them is, will this work if you buy a physical copy of the game? The answer is going to be no.
Maybe.
I mean, maybe, but that means I have to set up a deal with.
I mean, so many things have to be installed, so
yeah, exactly.
I assume the disc is just running as a key to unlock the game each time. So, I mean, it could work. I'd be interested to see whether most developers would be keen on this idea, because I think part of the appeal of releasing a game now is double dipping, people double dipping. I guess it makes them wonder, well, I guess you're always going to want to release it on the past, on like the PS4, because that's where the biggest player base is at the moment. Whereas
you'll make the most money there anyway.
Exclusive on PS5, yeah. So, I mean, maybe they'll think, hey, what's the rush? Maybe there won't be as much of a rush to hit day one as there would have been.
I think this means more people that potentially would have been like, you know what? Maybe I'll just wait like a month and a half. Because by the time Cyberpunk comes out, we'll have like official release dates rocked in for the consoles, right? So maybe, let's say it's only like a month away, like 4 to 5 weeks away from the console. I could have seen a lot of people being like, you know what? I won't buy this now. I'll just wait. Like I did similar thing last generation because I wanted like for Assassin's Creed and stuff that came out where I was like, I really want to play this. But I held off on buying them, and I just got them with my PS4. I think if this had existed back then for the same and was the same thing, I would have potentially just got it and been like, "Cool, let's go." Because the other thing is, I'm presuming, especially with the way Xbox's like cloud savings work and whatever else, which Kieran was happy. By the way, go listen to last week's episode or this week's episode, Okay Cash, where Kieran's happy to point out how great cloud save is on Xbox. Where, because they just upload it and download it and whatever else. So I'm presuming that this will do like a similar sort of thing where you're playing it on your Xbox One And then when you just download the game on your Series X, it'll just be like, here, save file, no worries, here you go. Pick up, keep going.
I guess.
So that'd be cool. So that's why I think PlayStation has to have this. Like, the narrative, I think the narrative, this is the one feature out of this whole thing that I feel like if PlayStation doesn't have and doesn't allow, they're going to straight away be on the bad foot and the bad image for, like, in the eyes of quote-unquote gamers.
Not this. It just depends on how much is there. How much of an upgrade is there going to be between an Xbox One
Massive.
and Xbox Series X?
Massive.
You think day one there's going to be a massive difference?
Yeah. Especially for this game, especially for Cyberpunk. Maybe not other games. For Cyberpunk, the rumor is they're already like the rumors that they're already struggling like. Current gen consoles, they're like, this shit is. But
they've already said
hard,
backwards compatible games will run better on already. So, and if PS5's already backwards compatible, then
yeah, but you're still just playing the old version. It's like, here's my example for this. Here's my example. This is my one go-to example that I'm gonna give to people in the next year this comes up many times. When 4K TVs come, or I can just do it. Actually, fuck that, because a lot of people still don't have 4K TVs. So I'll do DVD to Blu-ray. I'll do DVD to Blu-ray because I feel like that one will make more sense. Most people already have lived through that, right? When Blu-ray players came out, and they were like $300 or whatever else, people start getting their HD TVs. They start buying their Blu-ray players, their PS3s, whatever. One of their features on the back of all these boxes would be saying that they like upscale and make your DVDs look better and whatever else, right? And people would be like, why would I buy the Blu-ray of the movie if it's telling me that it's going to upscale the DVD version and make it better? And the truth is that although it did somewhat run your DVDs, a lot of these machines ran your DVDs through their little codec systems or whatever else, and they spat them out the other end looking slightly better than they ran on your DVD players. They, of course, didn't look anywhere near as good as the actual Blu-rays. And the case is the same now for Blu-rays to 4Ks, where they're like, hey, put your Blu-ray into this 4K player and we'll shit it out the other end. We'll upscale it to 4K. It'll look a little bit better. And yes, it does do that, but the 4K still is going to look better because the 4K is made for the fucking 4K. And that's my example for this. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, I get what you're saying, but people still buy DVDs. If you go to a JB, which section's bigger, the DVDs or the Blu-rays?
Man, gamers aren't buying fucking DVDs.
It's going to be whatever is cheaper, and the PS4 version is going to be cheaper and play it on backwards compatibility. But we'll see.
You're true, but my point is that there is going to be a big difference between the backwards compatibility version works for PS5 and there's a PS5 version. Like, if you want to know the difference between the two, that's my example. Is what I'm saying. You know, okay. There is going to be a clear difference.
But I think the results will be the same.
Maybe for some people who are fucking blind, you know?
Well, again, but in this case, it's going to come down a bunch of things. Number one, how much is the PS5 going to cost? Specifically around Cyberpunk. $8 million. It might be a bit of a struggle from the standard Australian to pick up PS5 to launch. So then they're going to be stuck on their PS4 anyway. So
yeah, I mean, and then the last thing they had here is Xbox Game Pass, which we don't really talk about because unless PlayStation announces their official new thing at launch, which would be cool if that's at the PlayStation 5.
It's not going to be like Game Pass. No.
They'd be like PS5 and it's going to have PS Now, but it's like
they don't need to devalue their first party games.
Wow. All right, let's talk. So this is more of a PSA, I guess, but so everyone should be signing up for this because it's got to be in it to win it, you know. So win one of these real life platinum trophies. At the moment, they've done these in the past. Did they like platinum the game, be like the first or whatever in the world or Australia or whatever they've done it to platinum these games. At the moment, they've got this new thing going called PlayStation's Player Celebration. I was like, what the fuck is this thing called? So you got to go over to the website. There'll be a link in the show description for the article and whatever else. So you can find it that way or Google it. I'm sure you can work it out. But go sign up. All you got to do is log in with your account on the PlayStation website, and then you're good to go. And then what's happening is there's stage 1, which means that everyone that signs up has to earn a total of 125,000 play a total of 125,000 games, earn 500,000 trophies, get a bunch of static themes, PSN avatars. Then stage 2, 375,000 games played, 1.5 million trophies earned, 5 exclusive PSN avatars, everyone gets that. Stage 3, 675,000 games played, 2.7 million trophies earned, holy moly. And everyone gets this fancy exclusive PSN dynamic theme. All of those, of course, aren't super exciting. I mean, they're cool. Like that last one that just says exclusive dynamic theme, it could be a cool, like, for player celebration PlayStation one. Like they've done, I could imagine that could look cool or whatever. The avatars I don't really give a shit about. But the important thing is here, everyone that signs up for this goes in the chance to win a real life platinum trophy engraved with your PSN ID, a PlayStation Network voucher for a total of $145 is a weird amount, and voucher codes for the selection of the greatest PS4 games. And all you got to do is be in it to win it. And then on March 17th at 10 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, or daylight time, I guess, yeah.
Normal time.
Normal time, yeah. Quote unquote normal time. At that time, you then have to go over to the website and answer a skill-based question for your final chance to win it.
Right, so what's a skill-based question?
It'll just be like, how many months of PlayStation Plus do you get? Like, does it cost or some shit? They always do this for the competitions. They're always just random shit. That's like, how much does this cost? What year did The Last of Us come out? Like, it's not hard. Like, you could just open up a second tab and Google it.
Oh, because so it's what they're saying is you answer a question that has a correct answer.
Yes.
Rather than these competitions that they're like, well, who's your favorite celebrity and why?
Yeah, no, it's got a correct answer. I think it's just because like they do say you got to answer that to get your final chance to win, right? I think it is just like an easy calling thing for all these competitions because of course a lot of people sign up. That's step 1. Easy, go do that. Everyone go do that. Step 2, everyone forgets to do step 2. You know, they already lose a bunch of people because everyone has to go over here and answer this or whatever else. But you don't have to get it right with like it's not the first person to answer it wins. No, it's you got to get it right to get to the second stage, and then I'm pretty sure they put those names into a hat. Yes,
like a really big hat.
A really big hat, but still a lot smaller from what it was because a lot of people
smaller than the bigger hat they had before.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, so do that. I mean, I set an alarm on my phone to make sure I remember to do it because I want the fucking platinum trophy, though. Let's be real. You know, but at the same time, I'm being a nice guy, letting everyone else know, not trying to just hog it all for myself, you know. And then the only other piece of news I really had to talk about this week because not much happening other than this Xbox stuff, kicking things off for the week. PS5 could collect your biofeedback via optional DualShock 5 attachment, right side, Jan. So we spent last week talking about the review for the back button attachment. This week, let's talk about some yucky shit. Sony has filed for another patent, this time for an accessory that can attach to a PlayStation DualShock 5 controller and sense the player's biometrics, such as heart rate or even sweat. So if you delete this last 3 words, I'm down, you know? Whereas like players' biometrics such as heart rate, I'd be like, that's cool. Like you could do like cool horror game stuff with that. Even like racing games. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of options. And then they're like even sweat. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. In an application filed by Sony Interactive Entertainment Europe over the weekend, the company is looking to patent a biofeedback sensor attachment for the controller that will comprise one or more sensors for obtaining biofeedback information arranged such that at least one sensor is in contact with the user's hand during normal use of the controller. In the patent application here, Sony is exploring a control accessory that can select biofeedback from players, specifically heart rate measurements and electrometer. What? Electrometer? Electrometer. Is that what it is?
Yep.
What does that even mean? Like, what's the straight up dictionary meaning of this word? Let me open Google here real quickly. I don't know if I've seen this word in my life.
Extradermal activity is the property of the human body that causes continuous variation of the electrical characteristics of the skin.
Fucking science, man. You know, high five for science. Yeah. They say that you know you listen to other podcasts and you're like, yeah, video games, yeah, Explosion Network. Word of the day, you know. Fucking Sesame Street over here. But as IGN boils it down after saying all that shit, aka sweat. They're like, people don't understand this fucking word, aka sweat. They've got a quote here. There is a desire in computer gaming to provide an immersive and highly interactive experience for players as to a chance enhanced enjoyment of the player, says Sony in the patent description. Continuing, this has become of particular interest with increasing availability of head-mountable displays, HMDs, which are provided with the intention of fully immersing a player in the game environment. The last part of the description is likely a reference to VR headsets, a field Sony dominates, blah, 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 blah. Look, my whole feelings on this is heart rate, yes. Sweat, no. Is there any argument for... in what case would a game need to know how much I'm sweating? Ever.
Maybe it's just like an easy thing to add. I mean, if you're going to do the heart thing, you might as well just add the sweat thing. Like, it's cheaper as a package. Why not have that information anyway?
Why not? Let me counter that with, but why?
Why not?
What are you, fucking yes man, Jim Carrey or whatever over here? Jesus Christ. No, I don't. You
never know. They could like maybe if your hands are sweaty, then you when you pick stuff up, it like slips out of your hand.
Is that a feature you want?
You're playing very specific.
You're playing Apex Legends, Ash. You're running along. It's fucking 11 o'clock at night in Brisbane. It's about 48 degrees. I don't know what the fuck. You're dying.
I don't know.
You got the fan on. You go to pick up your gun. Slips out. Go to pick it up again.
It's like,
slips
son
out.
of a... You have to wipe your hands on your shirt.
They've got new character lines specifically for the characters.
It's so they can sell you sweat-free gloves to use on your controller so you don't sweat through onto your controller. Marketing.
Motherfuckers start eating Cheetos purposely to cover the amount of sweat they've got on their hands instead of...
Yeah.
This is horrible. Fucking fat dudes out there.
I think...
Just like, this is biased as shit.
They're just trying to find out more information about your personal health and then they can sell that data elsewhere.
No. This is a no. This is a patent that I give a no. I'm down. I just want to clarify. Heart rate, I think is cool. That's fine. Has potentially good stuff.
Yeah. So then they can scare you as much as they want, but then they know when to stop scaring you.
Yeah. Or when to just keep going.
About to have a heart attack.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, let's just stop.
Horror game designer.
Message pops up. You should probably go to a doctor.
You should probably go to the hospital. Resident Evil 8 is not a game you should be playing in VR because you're about to die. Move on. It's time for Uncharted movie segment time. That's right, 2 weeks in a row. I can't fucking believe it either. But guess what? He doesn't stop, this kid. I love it. He doesn't stop, and I love it because this segment's becoming my personal meme in my life.
Why is he doing more interviews?
I don't know.
Who's he talking to?
IGN, in this case. So, the Six Asses writes, "It's happening, people." After years and years of directors joining and leaving this project, Uncharted movie is going to start filming in 4 weeks. The information came from Tom Holland himself in an interview with IGN. Tom Holland is playing Nathan Drake, while Mark Wahlberg is taking Rob Sully. Of course, people will also be wondering what kind of inspiration the game takes for himself. You can see the video below. If you can't watch the video, guess what? You're listening to a podcast or watching the video. I'm not putting the video in the video either, so you can't watch the video. Anyway, if you can't watch the video, here's information. According to Tom, Uncharted 4 will give a lot of inspiration for the story, but the film will be very much its own thing. As Tom is portraying a younger Nathan Drake in the movie, this will be a prequel of sorts, which avoids the issue of having to adapt a game directly. Apparently, the stunt team is already on location in Berlin, getting ready to film there, but will this be a globe-trotting adventure? A director is yet to be confirmed. And so many have left, including Ruben Fleischer? Fleischer? How do you say that name? Is it Fleischer or Fleischer?
Yeah, it's Fleischer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Director of Zombieland, Double Tap, and Venom is thought to be taking the seat. Previous people attached to the project include Travis Knight, David O. Russell, Dan Trachtenberg, Sean Levy, Seth Gordon, Neil Berger. So apparently this movie, this is hilarious. I love it. And I did watch the video. They're literally just like, so Nathan, Uncharted movie, when's that happening? He's like, yeah, we're shooting in like 4 weeks. You don't have a director. Whichever director takes this is honestly just like either gives zero fucks or they got paid a lot or they're like, I'm taking like a dice roll on my career because if this turns out well, it could like project me, forward kind of thing. I feel.
Yeah. I mean, Ruben Fleischer is an interesting choice, obviously. I imagine he's doing Venom 2 at the moment, isn't he?
They're fucking filming it. I've seen pictures on Twitter of Woody Harrelson looking like a ginger dweeb. Like they're shooting it literally at the moment.
Yeah.
So unless they're filming it and then he's like, you know what? I'm just rolling over to Uncharted now. Which like he turns up to set and he's like, hey Tom Holland, I haven't read the script. Action. Fucking go.
Let me see. But yeah, that seems mental. Unless they're like, hey, we got someone to do second AD stuff. Yeah. No, Andy Serkis is directing Venom too.
Oh, what? I thought he was. Or maybe he's. Oh yeah, I remember that story now too. So he's not doing it. I thought. That's up. Hey.
So I guess that makes more sense.
It still doesn't make sense, but
yeah. I mean, maybe he's like started work on it, but like the contracts haven't been completely signed.
I mean,
but still, 4 weeks out, you're like, everything is pretty much set. You'd have to assume most of the creative decisions have already been made at that point.
So, what are you directing? Like, you're not involved in pre-production.
Well, I guess it's more of a producer-led project than a director-led project.
Yeah, that's a problem. That's not a problem. That's
works for Kevin Feige.
I mean, yeah. You heard it here first, everyone. Officially compared the Uncharted movie to Marvel's MCU, run on the thing. Yeah, that's your Uncharted movie update this week. You'll be getting more.
Wait, no.
You'll be getting more because they're shooting in 3 weeks, I guess. This story came out like
4
6 days ago.
Yeah.
PSVR for the players.
I got one VR story I want to talk about for this week. So, Sony patent shows concept for improved PSVR controls with finger tracking. I know, it's like, oh, fucking Dylan, you're bringing all the patents this week. Oh, it's fucking, apparently there's a million of them coming out the ass. Plus, I complain about Move controllers so much that I'm like, these got me semi-excited. So, what website am I on here? Pushcare, right. It's highly likely Sony will be looking into a new iteration of its PlayStation VR tech, especially with PS5 on the horizon. One recently approved patent goes over some nifty ideas for the supposed PSVR 2, though whether the final product bears any resemblance remains to be seen. Now, yet another patent from Sony, thanks Upload VR, focus is on the virtual reality controllers. As you can see in the above images, you can't see because the concept of this device is reminiscent of Valve's index controllers. If you're unfamiliar, they behave much like PS Move controllers, but feature a strap that goes around the back of the hand, allowing the player to let go of the device without dropping it. This, combined with the multitude of sensors and finger tracking technology, makes for a much more accurate input, especially for gestures and picking up virtual objects. The drawings also show 4 buttons surrounding what looks like a thumbstick. So, they do look like index controllers. I think if you look at the first picture, if you don't know what index controllers look like, they look like a Wiimote, actually. Kinda. Or like every action movie you've ever watched where someone like holds a trigger that if they let go, a bomb goes off. You know?
It's a hangman switch.
Yeah.
It's called,
yeah. Like, no!
Dead man switch. That's
Nate,
it.
No! But like the general design obviously would be, I think it would change. Like, this is patent, and if they actually go ahead with this, I think it would obviously change as it goes ahead. But in general, I think the Index is probably the best design to copy, given I haven't used it. Of course, my experiences with Move and Oculus controllers, but having used Oculus controllers and knowing like how some of that technology works, and then seeing the Index controllers and like comparing it and being like, okay, cool, so they've changed this to that. I think the Index controllers seem like the best ones, and from what I've read, Index controllers are considered the most best, like, for tracking everything, like hand movements, all these sorts of things, like hand sensor, finger tracking, all these sorts of things. It's why in Half-Life Alyx, when that comes out, Index is going to be the best version of the game because it was made for those controllers, and you get the most like tactile finger tracking, stuff like that. For the Oculus controllers, it only tracks your like thumb at the top. Oh no, and your thumb and your pointing finger. Like it can sense both of those and sort of track them. This controller, if it's anything like the Index, would be able to track all of them because they're all in like the sort of back area there. So it'd be able to like track all your like what you're doing with.
It would be able to tell
those.
if you're holding fingers down or not. Yeah.
Yes, and because you can release
so you can just have your finger going like that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. For audio listeners, try and guess what finger. Yeah. Yeah. So and because you can let go of it because of the way it straps around the back, and it means you can like literally release the controller. And, like in virtual reality, you could like high five stuff and not be holding the controller or whatever else. Yeah, and then you can pick stuff up like full fist.
You can like
grab stuff.
You can like flick things.
Yeah. Crazy. Crazy concepts. Yeah.
Crazy notion. As long as they get rid of the freaking light sensor and it's like completely all the tracking is inside the controller itself and I don't need the camera as much, that'll be fine.
You should not, when PSVR 2 comes out, I swear to God, there's no way. There's no way. You should not need tracking the controllers full stop. But in case anyone doesn't know, the reason you need the camera for tracking at the moment is because the PSVR headset tracking it uses the camera to track the lights on the front, and that's how it gets your VR headset's location and that's how it gets its location with a slight combination, I think, of some stuff inside it. Slight, I think.
Probably.
I think so. I can't remember. But the Move controls are 100%. It just tracks the lights. That's how it tells where they are in the 3D space. Other headsets, VR headsets, they don't have any of that because they just use straight up, what's the proper word for it? Like
motion
sensing stuff? Yeah, whatever. I think there's an official word for it, whatever. But
whatever
it just tracks them within the 3D space with the motion tracking.
The Switch controllers.
Yes. Sure. Sort of. Yeah. So no, you shouldn't need the camera and any light up things and whatever else for the next generation thing.
We can only hope.
You can only hope. And also none of this stuff we're talking about, like not leading the lights and whatever else, none of that is like high level VR tech these days. Like it's just base shit, you know? Like it's not a question of money. It's like the reason we have the Move controls of the PSVR 1 is because the technology was just easier and less costly or whatever else. And the motion tracking stuff that we have now wasn't as advanced. But then like a year later, because that's all it takes for technology to move, you know, Facebook and Oculus are like, we got this shit figured out. It's fine. Anyway, so I hope these come true. I hope the more stuff I see patents and leaks about PSVR 2s and whatever else lately, the more I'm holding out hopes that eventually when the PS5 reveal event happens, that it's even bigger than we could have hoped, and they announce the PSVR 2 at the same stage. Because I personally think they can announce PSVR 2 at the same time as the PS5, and I don't think that's a bad move. I think that's a good move. I think setting up the next generation with them being like, you know what, PSVR is important to us and this generation, and to such the point that we're talking about it on the same fucking stage as we're announcing our next gen console, with all these people watching who probably don't have VR yet, and potentially get them more interested and so on and so forth. I think that would be a really great decision, and I'm hoping that's actually what ends up happening, because I don't think it's like, oh, but what if the PSVR 2 like overshadows the PS5? That ain't fucking happening. Like, there's only positives that come for it, in my opinion. There's no negatives.
I don't think you can release it the same day, is the only thing.
Not the same day. Reveal it the same day, not release it the same day. That's my asterisk on the whole thing.
Because no one will buy both on the... No. Well, a very small group will buy it first day.
I don't think I could. I think that'd be pushing it. But if the rumors are it's going to come out like 6 months to a year later, I think if they announce them both the same day and it comes out 6 months later, that's pretty fucking good. That's fine. Like at the earliest type thing. Anyway, that'll do it for this week's episode of Platinum Explosion. That's the show you've been listening to. You can follow us all on Twitter by heading to explosionnetwork.com/Twitter. Find my Twitter, find Ash's Twitter, find Explosion Network Twitter. You suggest topics or send in questions for the show by emailing mail@explosionnetwork.com with the subject line Platinum Explosion. And then they come to the email box and then they become things that we talk about. Until next week, remember that every trophy counts. Hey, don't forget you can subscribe to the show wherever you're currently listening, and you can drop a review if you can. Find more great shows like this and more content over at explosionnetwork.com, and please consider supporting us for as little as $1 over on our Ko-fi page by heading to explosionnetwork.com/support. Thanks for listening.